I just got finished watching Christopher Nolan's movie, The Odyssey, his adaptation of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. Well, I don't know. I'll say this. There's been nonstop chatter and controversy, and culture war stuff, and and recriminations and all the hype, all the hype, and the increasingly negative hype concerning the way this movie was made, or the casting of this movie, or the adaptation that was used, or other things. These all this stuff, I think, has been a massive distraction. And the thing is, I'm hesitant to say anything. I'm hesitant to say anything. Positive or negative. I mean, you can read between the lines, maybe. But I think if I attempted a fair interpretation, or a fair review, if you will, of this movie, nobody would hear what I was actually saying. They would just file me under two categories, because this is a cult. This has become part of this ever escalating culture war. Nothing can be safe from the culture war. And look, culture is important. I'm not saying the culture war is about nothing. It's definitely not about nothing. Okay? So don't misunderstand me. Don't misconstrue me for what I am saying here. I'm not defending some of the casting choices. I'm not defending. There's some quirks. There's some peculiarities. But I think, in the movie, and yeah, I'm not digging the casting choices either. I don't think those casting choices are the essence of what the movie's about. The movie is an adaptation. I'll say this much. The movie is an adaptation of the epic poem, and it's an interpretation. There are things I recorded a video. Not many of you watched it, but that's okay. A little while ago, about when I was reading the Odyssey, and when I finished reading the Odyssey soon afterwards, and my thoughts while reading it. And it's an ancient text, and when people talk about adapting it for a modern audience, of course we respond in the ways that we respond to that. With rolled eyes, and we know what is usually really meant by that. The message. I don't think that's what Nolan is going for here. I don't think he's trying to deconstruct the myth of Homer. He is taking it in a certain direction that I don't think is what all of the people who are up in arms about the movie, I don't think it's what they think it is. I think what he's doing with it is in some strange way Christianizing it. He's taking this, brutal epic poem about war and slaughter and I think ultimately what I'm left with is, and I don't say this I'm not uncritical. I could go into detail, but why should I do that? If you're not going to see it, then it doesn't really matter what the details are, or the to use another hated word, nuances are. Again, that's another word that's been abused. And I am as leery of that word as I am of the adapting for a modern audience, or whatever. I mean, I know what deconstruction is. I'm not a deconstructionist. I'm anti-deconstruction. I don't think this is a deconstruction of Homer. This takes this movie, successfully or unsuccessfully, I don't know, but it's fairly ambitious in what it's aiming at, because what it's aiming at is saying, not that, it's not trying to say the story from 600 BC. It's not trying to just present it in the same way, exact same way that Homer, or the translator of Homer, when he put down this oral tradition to words, to verse. He's not just, if what you want is just to see that message straight, straight as it was done, as it's presented in the epic poem, I don't think that's what's here. I mean, I think it's the story of the epic poem and the same events mostly, although there are liberties taken here and there. But I mean, it's a movie. Even if it's a long movie, you can't have all of the same details. There's got to be some truncation done somehow. So, but it's the same story, and I think the message that where Nolan seems to be taking the story is it's going from a man who questions God or the divine, to who goes from questioning God and the divine to accepting the divine, and accepting that you do not have control, and while you don't understand why God does the things that he does, you ultimately resign yourself and humble yourself. This is a story about a man's humbling. And you might say, well, that's not really there in the original story, and I think you're right. But it's an interesting way to take, an interesting direction to take the story in. And I don't think it's, again, I think I'm going to be misunderstood. I think what I'm saying is going to be misunderstood. And I just got out of the movie, and I'm just speaking my thoughts here. But if you're, if you're not going to see the movie, I'm not saying you have to see the movie. And if you don't see the movie, then don't see them. If you don't want to see the movie, then don't see the movie. But I would say, don't assume, I mean, don't assume that you don't read between the lines of what I'm saying here and take it to mean, oh, this is Christopher Nolan deconstructing masculinity, or this is Christopher Nolan deconstructing, all the things that we hold dear and attacking, Western values and all the things that you think I'm saying when I'm saying what I'm saying. I think I was quite surprised because there, talk about things that it's hard to translate. And I made, it's hard to understand that a man as a hero, a man like Odysseus as being a hero when he takes part in a seemingly senseless war, when he is instrumental in the slaughtering of innocents, right? These are things that maybe they didn't think about as much because it was a different age back then. But we think about those things, specifically since the dawn of Christianity, I would say. And I think what Nolan does ultimately with Homer's raw material is I think what he's doing is essentially Christianizing it. Now, Christ is never mentioned, of course. The gods are mentioned. Zeus is mentioned. Athena, Poseidon, the whole pantheon of gods as known or acknowledged by the Greeks, they are mentioned, but they're mentioned in such a way that we ultimately see them as being as representing the divine. As we think of the divine, if we think of the divine, if we do think of the divine, if we are believing men and women, that's the direction that that's the direction in which the story is taken in this movie, and it's, I think, very ambitious, and if you want to criticize it for not just laying bare Homer's story and just then I guess you could do that. But the fact is, we don't think like the citizens of Ithaca would have in whenever this was 600 BC, and I know it might not have actually happened. I know it's supposedly a myth, or let's say it maybe actually did happen. It doesn't. It doesn't really matter whether it's historical or not historical. The point is, the way that it was read at the time. People didn't hear of somebody wiping out another tribe and think, "Oh, that's bad. That's evil. Why would we want to have anything to do with that?" But we do think that today. We think that, we think that invading some other nation or city, city-state, and tricking them into, being presented with a gift that's supposed to be a gift from the gods, and then that gift from the gods, i.e. the famous Trojan horse, becomes what what the enemy uses through subterfuge to get access to the land, and then slaughter everybody and win this war, which seems like a needless war and seems to be monstrous. So I think I'm going to end there. I don't want this to go on too much longer. But I know I'm thinking people are going to hear what I'm saying and judge what I'm saying. And that's why I don't want to go any further than what I have said. I already said more than I thought I would. But I would just say I think that the culture war is something that can sometimes the momentum of the divisiveness of everything, even though the things that we're divided on are important things, we can still get caught up in things and certain worthy projects are end up, getting judged to be woke. But when I don't think that's, I really don't think that I don't think Christopher Nolan set out to make a woke version of this movie of this epic poem. I just don't think he did. I don't think that's what. I think the proof is in the pudding. Watch the movie for yourself if you want to. If you want to have an open mind about this, or if you just aren't, are against. I know, I know people speak disingenuously about having an open mind, don't they? When they're really just trying to trick you into accepting something. I get it. I am you. If you're listening to what I'm saying here, and you're skeptical, I am you. I heard things that were being said about this movie, and I thought to myself, man, I've always liked Christopher Nolan's films. I've always thought he was very talented, and I loved Oppenheimer. I gushed all over Oppenheimer 3 years ago, and I still think it's great. Judge me for that if you want, in addition to whatever else. But sometimes I think in the midst of all this culture war business, which is important, and this woke virus, which is very real. Okay, I'm not one of these people who's coming to you and saying, well, what is woke anyway? You don't even know what you're talking about when you say woke. I'm not one of those disingenuous people, but you might think that I am, or that I've been taken in, or something. I get the feeling whatever I say, I'm going to be judged. And, that's kind of unfortunate. It's an unfortunate sign of where we're at right now. But that's the way things are. Anyway, that's my sort of review of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Thanks for watching.